Hello and welcome to Awaz News. I'm Kurali and I'll be taking you through big news across Canada. Luxury condo plagued by delays and cost overruns at Bloor and Young enters into receivership. Elderly driver injured in crash near Hamilton drifted into path of dump truck. Toronto Raptors superfan now party writes memoir with behind-the-scenes stories. Hate crimes have increased since start of Israel-Hamas war, Toronto Police Chief. Canada taking necessary time to probe hospital blast in Gaza, says Trudeau. One suspect arrested, two others outstanding after vehicle stolen in North York during knife point break-in. Woman wanted for attempted murder in Mississauga stabbing. Those were the headlines, and let's jump right into the detail. A 38-year-old woman is wanted in connection with a stabbing in Mississauga that left one person injured on Wednesday. Peel police responded to a stabbing call in the area of McLaurin Road and Eglinton Avenue West shortly before 2:30 p.m. When officers arrived, they located one person with multiple stab wounds. The victim was taken to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. Police said a female suspect fled the area. On Thursday, police identified the suspect as Marija Gunaj. She's wanted for attempted murder. Gunaj is described as 5'5", 160 pounds, with light complexion and medium-length brown hair. Police said she was last seen wearing a black winter coat. Anyone with information on the whereabouts of the suspect is asked to contact investigators at 905-453-2121 extension 1133 or Peel Crime Stoppers at 1-800-222-8477 or peelcrimestoppers.ca. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau said Thursday that Canada is working with allies to determine exactly what happened in the blast at a hospital in Gaza City earlier this week that has become a flashpoint in the Israel-Hamas war. Trudeau said at a news conference in Ottawa that Canada is taking the necessary time to probe a blast that the Hamas-controlled Gaza Health Ministry says left hundreds dead. Hamas is blaming the Israeli military for the blast, but Israel has denied any involvement, saying it has images that it says show a Palestinian militant group misfired on the hospital. Pressure began to mount on Trudeau to clarify which side he thinks is responsible after United States President Joe Biden told Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu during his visit to the region on Wednesday that it appeared the hospital blast was perpetrated by the other team, not you. Trudeau had said when news of the blast first emerged that what happened was unacceptable and not legal under the international laws that govern war. The thing with this horrific situation in the Middle East is it is not just happening over there, he said at a press conference Thursday wrapping up a summit with Caribbean leaders. It's having an impact, a deep, direct, personal impact on individuals and families, on communities here in Canada. The Prime Minister went on to say that everyone can agree that the deaths of innocent civilians at the hospital in Gaza never should have happened. But we are taking the necessary time to look carefully at everything and rapidly, of course, before we draw any final conclusions about what happened. The latest conflict began when Hamas, which Canada has deemed a terrorist entity for more than 20 years, conducted surprise attacks on Israeli citizens on October 7th. Israel declared war in response and has been raining airstrikes on the Hamas-controlled Gaza Strip. The Gaza Health Ministry says nearly 3,800 people have been killed in Gaza since the war began, while more than 1,400 people in Israel are dead, most of them civilians caught up in the deadly Hamas incursion that began the conflict. Canadian officials are still working to try and find a way to get upwards of 400 Canadians and their families out of the Gaza Strip, which is blockaded at its two land borders with Israel and Egypt. Israel announced during Biden's visit that it approved a plan that would allow Egypt to deliver some supplies into Gaza, which is home to more than 2 million people. Even before the latest war broke out, the Gaza Strip was one of the most densely populated and impoverished regions in the world. International aid organizations have warned that the region is close to collapse as Israel has cut off access to its electricity, fuel, and food. Hundreds of thousands of Palestinians have been displaced in Israel's campaign of retaliation. The Israeli military issued an evacuation order for 1 million people, telling them to leave their homes in the territory's north and head south towards the Egyptian border as Israel prepares a ground offensive. Global Affairs Canada says that so far around 1,400 Canadians, permanent residents, and their families have been taken out of Israel on Canadian arranged flights for Tel Aviv to Athens. And Ottawa says that over the past 2 days, it has arranged for 12 more Canadians in the West Bank to be bused to neighboring Jordan. Canada and its allies remain concerned that the Israel-Hamas war could expand regionally, a fear underscored by clashes happening between Hezbollah and the Israeli military across Israel's northern border with Lebanon. Entrepreneur and Toronto Raptors superfan Nav Bhatia is now an author. In an Instagram post Thursday, Bhatia shared the news of his impending book, which is set to hit the shelves on February 27th in Canada. I'm so excited to be able to share my story with the world. When I was growing up in India, I never imagined I would end up where I am today, the post reads. My optimism and faith have led me to extraordinary places beyond my wildest dreams. I hope basketball fans love reading all my behind-the-scenes stories from 28 and counting years as a superfan. Bhatia, who owns 5 car dealerships in Greater Toronto Area, continued to say he hopes his book and experiences inspire readers to go after what they believe in. Ultimately, this book is a celebration of immigrant hustle, communities coming together, and the strength that comes from embracing our differences, the post reads. Bhatia attended his first Raptors game in 1995 after the Toronto franchise joined the NBA, and previously told Awaz News he became addicted. He's also known found his Superfan Foundation, founded in 2018, and gifting thousands of Raptors tickets to members of the Sikh community, including a large number of children, to celebrate Vaisakhi, the Sikh New Year. The Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame even recognized Bhatia's super fandom in 2021. He hadn't missed a single game until December 10, 2021, where he had to isolate after contracting COVID-19. News of Bhatia's biopic also broke that same month, with Harold and Kumar, actor Kalpin, slated to play the superfan himself. The number of hate crime calls to Toronto police has risen since the war between Israel and Hamas broke out earlier this month, the police chief said. During Thursday's Toronto Police Services Board meeting, Chief Marion Demkew said the daily average of hate-related calls for service increased by 132% since the Israel-Hamas war began. This reflects an escalation in hate-motivated incidents and also heightened public tensions, Demkew said during his monthly wearable update. The chief noted that some hate crimes police have verified include mischief, uttering death threats, and criminal harassment. Between January 1st and October 7th, Toronto police received 237 hate crime reports, up from the 192 incidents reported in the same period last year. During the first days of the war, from October 7th to October 9th, Toronto police saw an additional 14 hate crime reports. In comparison, police only saw 5 incidents over the same period last year and just 1 in 2021. Demkew shared that of the 14 reported hate crimes, 12 were related to anti-Semitism and 2 were in connection with anti-Muslim and anti-Islam events. We have been clear and we remain resolute that Toronto Police Service will not tolerate acts of violence, intimidation, or hate toward anyone or any community. We will facilitate lawful protest. We will be vigilant and resolute in our service to our communities and the residents of this city, Demkew said. Toronto police boosted their presence around Jewish and Palestinian communities and other places of worship in response to the war that began when Hamas and militant group listed by the Canadian government as a terrorist launched a surprise attack on Israel, killing more than 1,400 people. The group also took nearly 200 hostages. Israel retaliated with multiple airstrikes, bombarding the Gaza Strip. More than 3,500 people have been killed and more than 12,000 have been wounded, according to Gaza Health Ministry. The impact of these events has been felt deeply here in Toronto, where family members and friends of those living in the region worry about their loved ones, said Demkew, adding that he's been meeting with many members of the Jewish and Palestinian communities. Demkew said safety measures implemented in the wake of the war will be in place for the foreseeable future. They include high-visibility patrols and deployments focusing on places of worship, schools, and community centers. We have deployed 2 command posts to be in the community and available for people in the community to engage with our officers while out and about, the chief added. We have directed all officers to have uniforms and to be ready to deploy at a moment's notice as operationally required. The 185-story luxury condo building at the corner of Bloor and Yonge Streets has been placed into receivership. Consulting firm Alvarez and Marcel Canada Inc. will receive all assets from the project. The receivership follows a string of problems for the condo, including a lawsuit from Apple Inc. due to construction delays that affected the tech company's ability to open a new flagship store on the condo's ground floor. Court documents from the receivership application suggest that Apple has put out of the project completely due to construction delays. The request for Alvarez and Marcel Canada Inc. to take over as receiver was filed by KB Hana Bank, a financial institution based in South Korea, on Tuesday. The consulting firm will continue construction of the property using an allocated $315 million per court documents, while Mirazi Inc. will remain the general contractor on the project. In a sworn affidavit, Joo Sung-yoon, a vice president within the global fund management team of IGIS Asset Management Company Limited, cited principal investors Sam Mizrahi and Jenny Coco's inability to manage the project. Construction of the entire project was expected to be completed by December 31, 2022, but as of October 4, 2023, concrete columns and walls have only been poured up to the 48th floor, said Yoon in the affidavit. Even on the borrower's revised timeline, construction is now not expected to be completed until March 2025. The senior secured lenders have now lost confidence in the borrower. The appointment of the receiver will bring much needed stability as well as oversight to the project with a view to maximizing value to all stakeholders. At the request of the project's senior lender, the court has appointed a limited scope receiver to overcome an ongoing governance issue that has caused significant project delays. As part of this arrangement, the receiver has requested that Sam Mizrahi and his company remain as the developer and general contractor to oversee completion of the one. Mr. Mizrahi maintains his equity position in the project, representatives for Mizrahi Developments said in an email. This is a welcome decision that will allow for the successful completion of the one under the continued leadership of Sam Mizrahi and Mizrahi Developments. Toronto police have arrested one man and are looking for 2 more suspects after carjacking in North York that saw them allegedly breaking into a home and stealing vehicle key at knife point. The incident happened on Wednesday afternoon in the area of Yonge Street and Shepherd Avenue. Police said 3 men allegedly broke into a residence and, once inside, threatened the homeowner with a knife and demanded their vehicle's key. The 3 shortly fled the area in 2 vehicles, police said. Members of the newly formed Provincial Carjacking Task Force, with the assistance of mobile surveillance officers and York Regional Police, responded to the call and tracked the suspects in the Midland Avenue and Huntingwood Drive area. One of them was arrested while 2 others got away. Police said 23-year-old Ahmed Kehan Nazir from Whitby has been charged with conspiracy to commit an indictable offense, break and enter, robbery with an offensive weapon, and possession of property obtained by crime. No descriptions have been released for the other 2 suspects. An elderly Stony Creek man has been rushed to hospital with potentially life-threatening injuries after collision near Hamilton on Thursday afternoon, Ontario Provincial Police say. In a video posted on social media, OPP Sergeant Kerry Smith said at around 1:30 p.m., an 80-year-old man was driving west on Highway 5 between Oldfield Road North and Sydenham Road when he entered the westbound lanes of the highway. Smith said he drifted into the path of a dump truck and the 2 vehicles collided. The elderly man was rushed to the hospital with serious, potentially life-threatening injuries, Smith said. The driver of the dump truck was not injured. The OPP's collision reconstruction unit is on scene. Thank you for tuning in. I'm Kubra Ali. I'll see you back tomorrow, same time, same channel. Have a good night.